Hey everybody, hope you all are doing great. I want to welcome you to the very first of hopefully many videos on my temporal campaign called Gods of Orlea. And as you can see in this video, this is the world that I built. One of the great things about when I was creating this campaign is I wanted it to be center of everything, that players had accountability, so they had ownership. In my campaign, there are 4 players, um, and when I was creating the world, because that's what I'm talking about first, is the world building aspect, is that I showed them this map, which looked considerably different than what you're seeing now. This is the final product, but and I asked each of them to pick an area on the map that their character would be from. And once they did that, I basically let them alter the areas. The 4 main areas that my characters are from, the first one is Iron Hollow, which is over here, far left. And this is where one of my dwarven characters is from. And so he went in and he completely changed everything with, working with me to create the map. So we put the mountains in and the deserts and anything of that nature. So I let that player create that world within the world that I've created. The next one is this Fremont up the top here, which is one of my other players who also plays a dwarf, took this one and completely rearranged it and renamed it. The only things I told them is that they couldn't change the names of the actual countries or provinces, but they could do basically everything else. Oh, the capitals, which you can see with the little white circles, those had to be left alone. But they could put them in a different language, which you can see over in the next one, which is this orangish colored one, which is Wild Vale. And my elf Lethari character or player who's playing an elf Lethari took this one and completely renamed everything except for and even the capital, which is Dorholt in the original. And I'll see if I can't enlarge or go in here. You can kind of see that she's Ifalanor, which is the Elvish name for it. And she created the Vale of Shadows and the Shadow Heights, which was the mountain range between Wild Vale and Fremont. And she went in and like I said, she completely renamed, moved things around. We added rivers and mountains and that sort of thing to it. This whole map was created in a map generator. I went through several of them, and later on in these videos we'll get into those. Then my 4th player, who originally when she started out the campaign was playing a Fire Genasi, and she chose Winterwind Isle. And like I said, I let the players create their own versions of these so that they had ownership, and in not just their characters but in the world itself. And then I took the others and I created those based on what I wanted to put in the thing. So such as the Blue Coast down at the bottom, it's all basically dragonborns and they're sailors, ship merchants, that sort of thing. Clear Haven in the center there is sort of like the human settlement area, although Crystalmere, which is the capital there, is basically like a international hub where trading happens from all areas of Orlea. Then there is Valmead down here to the right. The Valmead is, when I created Valmead, it is for our darker characters like Drow. Orcs live there. A lot of your more nefarious races live in Valmead. And then, of course, there's Ire, and that's that little bluish color right between Wild Vale and Valmead. And Ire is where the Aasimar lived. or live, up until the point in our campaign where my party has discovered the very last living Aasimar in this world. But anyway, I wanted my players to actively be a part of world building because I think it's important that your players have a sort of a buy-in that this is the place I'm from. I have control over it. So when we were building this world, it was very important that they had that sort of buy-in and accountability. Once this map was done, I actually printed it out onto like poster size and had it laminated so that we could write on it with like dry erase or wet erase, and we could make names. We could write names down of like areas they visited that are just in campaign and not on the map. That way, we kind of keep a running total of it. So that was the world building, and so then each character created their own backstories, like you do, and then I take those as the DM or the GM, as I take their backstories and the places that they've created, and it allows me to create moments in this temporal campaign that we can jump back and forth in. There are certain areas, like in Wildvale, for instance, that are sacred to the character of Jade Luna, who is the elf Lothari character. There are certain areas that are very like ceremonial and very spiritual, and so I can take that and go, okay, how can I use that in a sort of mini side quest in this large campaign? And it gives me a lot to play with, which is fantastic. And so far, all the players seem to be enjoying themselves. But I think it's very important that the world is built very, very much with the players' help. The other thing that they did not necessarily get to help directly with was the pantheon of gods, because I created my own pantheon of gods for this world. You'll find that as we go through a lot of these videos, a lot of this stuff is homebrew, just because I kind of like doing that. I like to be original. So the Pantheon of Gods, and we'll go into Pantheon of Gods in a later video, but I wanted to make sure that I was kind of in control of those. Now, I did give, like, for instance, the dwarf that is in Iron Hollow. He has a very specific god that he follows because he's a cleric. And so I let him create the dwarven gods, and then I just sort of pulled them into the pantheon that I have. And when I use my pantheon of gods, I'm using a lot of known names like Gaia, which is the goddess of light, and Xibalba, which is the god of darkness, and then we have Ahriman, which is the god of shadows, which is in the middle. Because you should all put your gods in threes, light, middle, dark. And that's sort of, those gods are the ones that have kind of chosen these 4 characters off this world to help them in a major quest, which we'll go into much later. And I'll talk a lot about the temporal aspect of this game. So that's the basics of world building for the Gods of Orlea. And we will have more videos coming, and I hope to have players in, and we have sort of like table talk discussions and things of that. So please, if you have comments or questions, please ask. All right. Until later, peace out.